well, they say all life came from the sea, you know, and I have to admit that coming from New Zealand, I've got a real affinity to the coast and to the oceans. Initially, when we first came to Scotland 11 years ago or 12 years ago, we were inland, and I was a long way away from the coast. And I missed New Zealand. I was homesick. When I came up here, you know, it was just that thought of that. If I'm standing up to my ankles in the oceans here on the other side of the world, then actually I am connected to New Zealand still, because all the oceans are connected and everything's connected.
Well, I think talking about being under the water is my favourite topic. It's just, even thinking about or getting ready to go for a swim, you know, it might be raining outside, and just hearing the sound of the rain sort of trigger something in me that's like, right, let's go for a swim. And, you know, taking those first freezing steps into the ocean, there's just nothing like it, you know. It's and then once you're in, it's just, even in winter, the colours of the sea is incredible. There's nothing like it. I cannot think of a colour that would explain the colour of when it's dark skies and turquoise sea. And then there have been times I've gone night swimming and the bubbles sort of sparkle in the moonlight. That is just, there's no words for it. I cannot describe the sense of belonging and the atmospheric beauty of it, you know. It's just nowhere I would rather be. If our sea was slightly warmer, I would never come out.
I consider salt marshes an incredibly important coastal habitat. They're very widely distributed around our coastlines. They're important for wildlife, particularly for migratory birds. And recently, in the last decade or two, we've realized that they're incredibly important for storing carbon. So the plants grow, they take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and they have these very rich, organic rich soils that help retain carbon that would otherwise be in the atmosphere, causing the greenhouse effect and the warming of our climate.
I consider that the climate change and climate crisis are a major urgency that I kind of I'm trying to construct a practice that is responsible somehow of the time that I'm living.
The work that we've become most synonymous with in the UK now is seagrass restoration. And so we were part of a project with Swansea University, Sky Ocean Rescue and WWF, that partnership, in Wales to plant 2 hectares of seagrass. Now, 2 hectares is roughly 2 football pitches. So, you know, 2 hectares isn't going to change the climate. But if we can start putting 2,500, 3,000 hectares back, then not only are we going to be providing a habitat for numerous different species, we're going to be providing a carbon sequestering habitat, so a habitat that takes carbon and stores it in the sediments.
In Fife, because of the history and the landscape, you get good at knowing where's available and what you might find. So for example, I head this way towards St Monans if I'm looking for fossils. Mind you, at Seafield you find them as well. This beach I tend to come to for pottery. We get it the whole way along the coast, but this specific beach smooths it in such a way that a lot of them are jewellery quality. And there's just an abundance here, comparatively speaking. The tides are really easy here. You know, it's good in terms of speed. And there's usually a bit of beach here, even if the tide's in. So
we've got 2 crises, haven't we? We've got the climate crisis and we've got the biodiversity crisis, broadly speaking, a nature crisis. By putting nature back, it helps with both of those. Put nature back and nature will help sequester carbon. You put nature back, it allows biodiversity to thrive.
I think for a lot of people, the ocean is still what you see from the coastline to the horizon. And I think the benefits of the ocean really outstretch what we can grasp in our minds or in our vision. And that is something that maybe it's already happening, but I think a bigger shift is needed in terms of people valuing the ocean really at a global scale, or the entire basin scale, so to speak.
Descriptions are not enough. We need to actually embody this knowledge, and knowledge is much more than data. Knowledge is something much deeper, I guess. So what art is good at is to involve all the senses and all the layers of the human being to actually reflect on that knowledge somehow.
But it's, for me, it's kind of intuition. Everything I do, I kind of work on intuition a lot of the time. A lot of it feels like old knowledge. This feels like stuff that we should just know this stuff, because most likely our ancestors did.
And it's important to sort of to have this, I think, global view, because it is very easy to just be in one place and see all the problems, with the ocean, in many different aspects, fisheries, other economic activities at sea, in the coastal communities. It's so easy to not be able to see through and see a future. But I think that's what's so nice really about social media and this network that's growing of just people interested in the ocean, and the next generation of fishers, talking with youth about their relationships with the ocean. That's, I think, what gives us, the optimistic view of the future.
So one thing we could do is give more value to the ordinary, everyday acts of care, of looking after people and looking after our local environments and looking after the things that matter to us, which we do as a matter of course, but tend not to value. Because when people talk about sustainability and sustainable solutions, they immediately jump to grand plans, technologies, great feats of engineering, great solutions that will somehow work and solve the problem. But they forget that actually it's in these little acts of care that we actually, all of us, do our little bit for the continuity of life. And that's where the real sustainability actually lies.